One receipt joins a paperclip chain. The day already looks productive. A portfolio stays closed behind it. Why can a small errand feel safer than one important decision? The evidence is still modest, but every completed task carries proof. Something was bought, collected, returned, or finished. Each task had a clear next step. Each one announced when to stop. The evidence is small, immediate, and difficult to dispute. The portfolio offers neither instruction nor confirmation. His hand moves toward the elastic band, then pauses before touching it. The choice inside could change work, money, or the shape of his week. Nothing outside the folder can certify a correct answer. His attention turns toward the grocery list instead. At self-checkout, a cart token rests beside his hand. The next move is obvious. Place one item under the scanner. Wait for the light. Move it into the bagging area. The machine accepts each answer, and his body settles into a familiar working rhythm. Check marks spread down the grocery list. They turn an ordinary trip into visible progress. There is no need to explain what matters most or imagine a future self. There is only the next unchecked line and the relief of making it disappear. The goal was simply to collect the listed groceries. One loose item rolls away from the bag, so he steadies it and scans again. Then the handles tie together. A small problem receives a clean correction, followed by a visible end. Back at the work table, the tied bag arrives before any answer does. The light has shifted across the same closed portfolio. Several useful things are now finished. The completed bag can be placed down. The unanswered choice cannot. The decision has not become smaller, clearer, or easier to name. Calling this laziness would miss what is happening. He is active. He is choosing safe completion. Work that supplies the sequence and confirms the finish. It proves he can function without asking what he wants the day to become. That promise follows him to the laundromat. A timer removes every argument about when the task is done. He loads the machine, waits through the final turn, and watches the remaining time shrink toward a number he can trust. When the timer reaches 0, the clothes can be lifted, folded, and stacked. The task does not ask whether this was the right use of the afternoon. It offers closure anyway, neatly declared by the finished cycle. Its rules do not follow him into the next room. With the folded clothes behind him, he enters the quiet consultation alcove. An empty chair faces an untouched pen. It looks as if sitting down should begin the answer. But this task has no countdown and no assigned first move. He straightens the chair instead. That action takes seconds, has an obvious result, and asks nothing about the life attached to the choice. Then he remains standing. The chair looks better. His position in relation to the decision does not. The delay is not a lack of action. It is action redirected towards safer proof. A blank keychain tag enters the alignment guide with one narrow goal. Its edge must match a shape that already exists. The jig does not ask which door deserves more of his future. It asks only whether each curve is accurate. For a moment, the first placement looks slightly misaligned. He adjusts the tag against the guide, and the outline follows one exact pattern. The update is immediate. What began as friction ends with a matching keychain tag that either aligns or does not. The pharmacy offers another kind of certainty. A Q token places him inside an order he did not have to design. Other people move when their turn arrives. Until then, waiting is not failure. It is simply the assigned step. His token advances, the collection is handed over, and the small paper can be discarded. The sequence leaves no residue of possibility. There was one place to stand, one turn to take, and one clear point of completion. The parcel locker presents a closed door with a practical promise. Open the correct compartment, remove what is inside, and close it again. Even before his hand reaches the flap, the entire task can be pictured from beginning to end. Halfway through the narrow opening, the parcel catches. He rotates the box, draws it free, and presses the door shut. The friction changes his action. but not the goal. A difficult second still returns him to a finished state. That click is satisfying because nothing remains open behind it. The errand does not require him to defend a preference or accept an uncertain consequence. It can close without asking who he may become afterward. It matters, but it cannot reveal what kind of future he is willing to choose. By the time he reaches the recycling room, late daylight falls across the receipts clipped to his tote. He lifts the chain to make room for another slip, then stops. His raised hand goes still. It is longer than he expected. The proof feels less reassuring now. Every receipt confirms a finished task, while his meaningful direction has not moved at all. He can still sort each empty package into the correct opening. The categories remove ambiguity before his hand even rises. The room feels orderly. The larger uncertainty does not. Yet the longer receipt chain changes the meaning of this useful act. Clean sorting now sits beside a day that remains unsorted. At the postal vending wall, a wall clock divides the remaining hour into visible pieces. Each small transaction follows a finite path from selection to collection. The sequence feels calm because its end is built into the exchange. He expects the final transaction to clear enough space for the larger choice. The machine becomes still, but his waiting hand searches for another manageable task. Completion created an empty slot, not movement inside the decision. The wall clock shows what changed instead. The errands ended. The available hour did too. The greenhouse sink offers visible need without personal exposure. He fills the watering can because dry soil provides a direct request. The handle gains weight. Water reaches the marked plants, and usefulness becomes something he can measure with his hands. Plant by plant, he continues until every visible patch of soil in the row darkens. No one needs to approve the order. The can grows lighter, the row looks cared for, and another practical task approaches a finish he can recognize. When the can is empty, he almost refills it. His stopped hand reveals the sharper pattern. Small errands can feel safer because they confirm competence without forcing a person to reveal what they truly want. Functioning has not failed. It has quietly taken the place of direction. Safe completion has been replacing meaningful movement. The return market cart offers one last compact reward. He guides the wheels into the row, closes the gap, and feels the token pop back into his palm. Even the ending is physical. Nothing about the exchange remains uncertain. He holds the token longer than its value requires. Around him, other carts keep moving into place. The little reward once proved that the errand was complete. Now it also shows how quickly he has learned to look for external confirmation. At the service arcade, a closing shutter begins to lower. He still turns toward one more manageable counter, as if another clean finish could prepare him for uncertainty. The day looked full because every smaller task left evidence. The shrinking opening makes the hidden cost plain. Productive motion has consumed the time for meaningful movement. His hand stops before beginning the extra errand. The shutter reaches the floor without giving him an answer. A whole day can close this neatly while its central choice stays open. The missing answer is no longer the only cost. For the first time, unfinished activity looks less threatening than another delay. The empty consultation chair is still where he left it. This time, he does not straighten it. He pulls it closer to the table. The movement is small, but it changes which track receives his body and his remaining attention. Sitting down produces no confirmation. There is no advancing number, final light, or closing door. His hands remain empty above the table. For once, the lack of a clear next step does not send him immediately toward a smaller task. At home, one grocery item remains deliberately unbagged. He places it beside the long receipt chain, then moves the chain away from the center of the table. One useful object remains unfinished without becoming an emergency. The day still contains proof of functioning. It simply stops receiving the best position. He lifts the elastic band from the portfolio. The paper resists slightly, and his fingers pause without retreating. No external signal arrives to reward the movement. This action cannot confirm that the choice will be correct. It only gives uncertainty a place that completed errands had occupied. The portfolio opens, but no answer appears. Nothing is signed, nothing is settled. The open pages offer possibility, not a score. The unfinished grocery item remains nearby, and the day loses its perfect record. That is the clearer distinction. The important movement was not another clean finish. It was opening the choice that could not promise one.